day I talk to clients about what they should do to create generational wealth. And when I talk about the deliberate actions that they take so that they can take care of themselves as well as leave it to the next generation. As a planner and as a financial coach, doing so is very satisfying to me. You put together a plan, you execute it, and you get the results in the future. But today's guest became a millionaire not by following the traditional path that I lay out for my clients and prospects. Instead, he says that he stumbled into being an accidental millionaire, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have him on not as a poster child for what it is that I do on a daily basis, but as an illustration that there are multiple ways to cross the finish line. So wherever you are in your planning and your desire to pass on a legacy to the next generation, realize that there are multiple ways to get there. I'm Felicia Gopaul, wealth coach to professional, educated, and accomplished women, and your personal wealth builder. Welcome to the Her Money Story podcast. And keep listening to hear how today's guest went from unemployed on a Friday to foreign service officer, what he calls an accidental diplomat on a Monday. So who's joining me today? It's Michael Dillard, author of Accidental Success, an Accidental Retirement, who wrote a book about how someone who is stressed with their life, career and their personal finance and wants to put together the motivation to get up and keep going. This book is really going to be perfect for you because it's going to inspire you, it's going to motivate you, and it's going to teach you how to build generational wealth on a step-by-step basis. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Felicia, for having me today. Such a pleasure to be able to speak with you and your wonderful audience, talking about life, talking about being successful, motivating ourselves to keep going across that finish line, and most importantly, leaving a legacy behind for the next generation.
Perfect. So I have to start with, I wrote a couple of books and participated in a couple of books. What was your motivation and your inspiration to write your book?
The motivation behind writing Accidental Success, Accidental Millionaire Retirement was I would talk to a lot of people who would go through different things in life where they felt a little down. They weren't as happy. But after I had a conversation with them, they would go on with their life being more motivated, being more optimistic in life. After they heard some of my stories, some of my challenges, they realized that everyone faces challenges and difficulties, but it's how you react to those. For example, someone in life might come from a rich family. They have everything. You shouldn't focus on that because everyone has to run their race in life. The person might have a head start today, but then tomorrow, those sacrifices that you had to go through to work 50, 60 hours a week, to be able to work with different people, those skills will become valuable later on because now you know the value of $1. You know how hard you had to work, which means that when you're in a leadership position, you're going to be able to use those skills to advance your career. Thus, I wrote the book to inspire people that no matter where you're at in life, if you have a vision and you take action, you too will become successful.
Perfect. So you didn't start out with all the success in the world. You actually started out perhaps in a little bit of a struggle. If I remember correctly, you grew up in a single parent household. How did that affect your view on money, especially since you've come a long way since then?
Well, Felicia, I remember to this day waiting for the mailman and then at the time the mailwoman to come once a month to deliver the $220 in food stamps. If you ever had to live on food stamps, you know that the finances in your household are not good. You really value having the ability to eat. When the food stamps would come that week, we would go to the store. It looked like Monopoly money, but thank goodness it spent like cash. So our bellies were nice and full for at least a week. It was 3 of us, and my mom was doing a great job raising us. But after week 2, 3, and 4, the cupboards would become a little bit bare. Thus, you realize in life that sometimes it's not about the money per se, it's about having wonderful experiences. I say my life is an accidental success because someone growing up in a low-income household like that is not expected to do much in life, especially at the time my mom had a GED. Thus, the standard was just to get a high school diploma. That was the standard. That was success. I was fortunate to be exposed to a government program called Upward Bound, what instilled in me a vision to want more in life. I was able to interact with other cultures. They put us on a college campus and we interacted with other college students. What that does for you is creates a sense of belonging. Then that's when I started creating a model. If they can do it, I can do it. The only difference is that they have the opportunity. And for me, I feel like you just must create opportunities for you to be able to participate as well. It might be hard, but if you motivate yourself, you can succeed. Thus, growing up from that type of background, you would have never thought that someone would develop the knowledge and skills to go on to manage millions of dollars in international development funds, someone to go on to learn about being financially savvy, having life insurance, having a 401k, having an IRA, and et cetera. That's why I wrote the book, Accidental Success, Accidental Millionaire Retirement.
Absolutely. I think the thing that I really responded to in your message is first and foremost, the good news. Upward Bound is still around, correct?
Correct. It is still around. And they also call it Tri-Bound program as well.
Got it. Great. So for somebody who is listening, who has a young child at home, you can find an Upward Bound program around you and get your kids into it. And maybe it will give you some of the same things that Michael was able to kind of get from being in the Upward Bound program. But to leave that, let's just talk about, okay, so you started with at your mother's house, waiting for the postman to come with the food stamps, which would feed you for a period of time. You go to Upward Bound. It exposes you to college, but I keep getting stuck on, but you have succeeded way beyond that. So what doors or what openings or what did you learn inside of that? You talk a little bit about vision, and you talked about it created a vision inside of you. Talk to me about how a vision has impacted you and how it could impact my listeners.
We can talk from a financial perspective.
Okay.
When you grow up with no money, you realize that you need to save money for a rainy day. You need to save money because at some point in time, you can lose your job. That happened to me. I found myself in that situation where I lost my job. I was unemployed.
Okay.
The lesson I took is that once you have a setback and you're able to get back on your feet, you must implement that knowledge in your life going forward. What I learned from going to college is that you have to be able to manage your finances and use the knowledge that you learned along the way. Don't just sweep it under the rug. When I was in the military, I had a sergeant come to me and tell me, Michael, you need to invest in mutual funds.
Okay.
At that point in time, I really didn't understand what he was talking about, but later on, it resonated with me. I started doing research on my own. Just when I got my job, I realized I had a benefit of 401k. I started reading books. I started reading up on Warren Buffett, on various, famous investors, gaining the knowledge. Once I gained the knowledge, then I started implementing the knowledge. And that's where I say having a vision. Once I got out of poverty, I had the vision of I want to be successful in life. I had a fire where I felt like I wanted to be successful in life, and thus I didn't want to leave anything to chance. From a financial perspective, I wanted to be in a position where I take advantage of the knowledge that I learned from work to save your money, take advantage of the employer match, which is free money. If someone comes up to you and says, if you put $2,000 in your bank account, I'm going to put $2,000 in your bank account. We would take that all day, every day.
Absolutely.
So I learned that along the way, but I learned to look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
To realize that when the sergeant came to me and said, invest in mutual funds, I didn't quite get it. But now I understand it. I'm able to communicate in a better way to other people. When you're buying a mutual fund, or I would say the S&P 500, what you're buying is you're buying 500 of the best performing stocks/companies in America. Thus, when you buy the S&P 500, you are a business owner. You own Amazon, you own Apple. Thus, it's looking at it from a different perspective. A lot of times people want to say, oh, you're investing as a speculator. No, you're a business owner. Amazon is a great business. Apple is a great business. Tesla, all these are businesses that are making money. Thus, you're buying a business. You're a business owner. Thus, the vision to be financially savvy and to leave generational wealth, it what sparked me. Thus, I started taking up multiple actions to make it happen. Read, invest, communicate what I learned to my children, and to repeat. From a work perspective, career perspective, I was working factory 50, 60 hours a week. It was hot. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. So I transitioned. I joined the US Army and I learned a trade in the skill. After 4 years, I came back with money to pay for my college. But I found myself right back in the same factory. But the difference was when the job board had jobs, I was looking to apply the new knowledge that I gained. And within 2 weeks, I applied for an electronic technician job and received it. And now the vision had come. I had a vision 4 years ago before I left the factory. I want to be in an air conditioner environment. I want to be in an office, sitting down, using my knowledge, my skills, versus doing manual labor. Thus, this is where I say the vision inspired me.
Got it. So you took the vision of coming out of poverty, you took it into the military, then you took that vision into your factory job, but you're just like, I'm not happy being in my factory job. I want to move beyond that, and I want to live be in another place. So how does one go from that to unemployment to accidental diplomat? You got to tell a little bit more of your story here. There's missing parts here.
Yes. As you're starting to realize a pattern, Felicia, is that once I reach a certain level, I want to take my life to the next level. Thus, every time I reach a step, I want to see what's on top, what's in that building. And I keep adjusting my vision to want more in life. Thus, when I was working factory, I was in my nice, comfy air conditioner job. I said, okay, I've acquired new skills. I have new knowledge. What else can Michael do? What else can Michael do in life? In a way, yes, you will fail along the way, but it's the fact that you get up. When we're small, we're born, we're an infant, our only goal is to crawl. That's our goal. We just want to be able to crawl. But later on in life, we adjust our goal and we say, we want to stand. Then we adjust our goal and say, we want to walk. Thus, along the way, I applied the formula of create the vision, research what actions can you take that will make you successful to take your life to the next level. And I kept on applying that formula over and over. If I wanted to have a job paying more money, I researched new job opportunities, revamped my resume, learned the skill that was required, applied, and then I would get the job. However, and this at one point, like you said, like you see in the book, I was unemployed. But here's one thing that saved me. The vision, once again, I kept applying, was something told me, Michael, you're destined for more, like other great people in life. Why don't you go back to college and get your master's in accounting? You already had a master's in financial planning. Go back and get your master's in accounting. I was making good money, Felicia, at the time. I was doing well. But I still had something in me where I said, I want to take my life to the next level. Thus, when I became unemployed, I had put money in my 401k, put money set aside, lived below my means, paid off my car. Me and my wife were debt free. And then the opportunity came because I got the master's in accounting. The job came available requiring someone who had experience working around the world, my military career. Thus, it paid off.
Yes, absolutely. So I love that. I absolutely love that because I heard lots of good stuff there. You and your wife were living below your means. You and your wife had paid off your house and paid off your automobiles, and you had money in your retirement plan. So you weren't, while you were unemployed, you weren't necessarily struggling and starting from scratch. And I think the thing that that really resonated is one of the things that I talked about in one of my books was the 5 Ds. And one of the Ds that we talk about is downsizing. And one of the things, and I have to ask you this question, and I know it was not on our prescribed questions, but one of the things that I find when somebody gets downsized is they don't downsize their obligations, and they don't always recognize that they may be here for a period of time. And if you don't make the adjustments, that will make the downsizing that much more stressful. Did you find that to be true for yourself?
Absolutely. Plus a bag of chips, as they say, Felicia. You just don't know how our life changed. At that point in time, my wife was pregnant with our second child as well. So it was a little stressful in the house at that point in time. Thus, we realized that adjustment was needed ASAP. We downsized our house. We literally put our house on the market for rent and moved a half a mile down the street to rent an apartment. Okay. We were half a mile from our own house, and we downsized. But what we didn't stop doing was we kept paying for our life insurance. We kept paying for health insurance, kept paying for the car insurance, because if you don't have insurance and something happens, that's going to set you back years and years and years. And that's something that, living in a single parent household and seeing how my mom struggled, I like to emphasize to young couples, you have insurance for your car. You have insurance for your health. What insurance do you have to protect the wealth of your child? If something, God forbid, was to happen to one of you when the child is 5, are you still going to be able to afford that same lifestyle? If not, then you need to buy income insurance, which we call life insurance.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you should say that, Michael, because one of the things that I often will do is I will have people draw 5 circles on a piece of paper so that they can understand this point. But in the bottom 3 circles, the first one is money in the bank, which you had. Then the second thing is your investments, which you had. And then the third thing is the is the insurance. And oftentimes I find, for whatever reason, my parents were older, and they kind of came up in that era where the insurance guy used to come by the house and he would get you to make your insurance payment. So I remember those days. So, insurance was something that many of us have, but I'm finding with the younger generations, they didn't have the insurance guy who came by the house once a week to pick up the insurance payment. And so they often will leave the insurance piece out of it. But I say that the money in the bank kind of takes care of your short-term emergencies, and the insurance piece will make sure that nothing catastrophic harms you and makes you sell the middle circle, which is the middle ring, which is the investment. So you got to have the money in the bank to take care of the short-term emergencies. You got to have the insurances to take care of the catastrophic things. And if you have those three things in place, that means that you have a safety net so that you can go out and live the vision that you're creating for yourself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. And when I was writing the book about the many obstacles that I overcame from being, single parent household, poverty, and et cetera, I insisted on leaving the financial piece in the book. People kept saying, oh, the financial part is a different book. It's a different book. I felt like, no, it's not. That's my life. This is what made Michael Dillard who he is. This is what allows Michael to feel like he's successful, is knowing that I have the life, I have the career, but then you have to also include the finances in your life because it plays a big role, especially if you want to create generational wealth. Where else are you going to read about saving, Social Security, retirement, 401k? There's so many topics that one could talk about. It's boring sometimes for people to go pick up the retirement book, right? It's boring in a way, right? However,
you and me can talk about it all day long, but other people, not so much.
Right, but when you put it in a book about how someone struggled and made it from the bottom and now at the top, people want to know more about that. And if you add that as a supplement, it will advance their knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so talk to me about how the retirement piece was, you were able to leverage the retirement piece and become an accidental millionaire. That part, you got to fill it. You've got to fill my audience in too.
Yes, as I was stating, the book starts off talking about how I became successful. Then part two, I share some of the motivational phrases that I've used with my team and others to inspire them to take on leadership roles, to do more in their life. Then the last chapter talks about my accidental millionaire retirement. And when I say millionaire retirement, what I'm referring to is the net worth that my retirement is worth. I felt like it was very important to include it in the book because that is a part of someone's life. Now, breaking down the accidental millionaire retirement portion, what I'm emphasizing is that every week someone comes to me and says, Michael, I want to retire. I want to retire. But how much do I need to retire? That's the question. How much do I need to retire? Can I retire? Thus, in the book, I break it down and I show people how you can look at your different sources of revenue to determine if you can retire early at age 52 or it's going to take you to age 58, 60, 65. Thus, when I was doing the research for myself, I realized that my government pension is worth X amount. Social Security is worth X amount. The money I put in my 401k for X amount of years is worth X amount, in addition to the money I put into my individual retirement account. Thus, when I added all that up, I realized that I will have a net worth of about $2 million when you add up all those sources of income together and you value that. Thus, for me, it was an accident. That's why I say accidental millionaire retirement, because I never envisioned being able to go from collecting the food stamps in the mail to being able to enjoy a nice, comfortable retirement. And I want to educate the other readers when they buy the book to look at their life as a whole, to be able to categorize your Social Security, the importance of investing in your 401k. The match is worth a lot of money. In the book, I put a nice chart in there and I show year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, up to year 20, 25. I show how your IRA can perform. I provide a way to take a look at Social Security. And also, since I'm a federal employee, I get a pension. I show people, how do you value a pension? Because a lot of times you don't know how much is the $30,000 pension worth, the $20,000 pension. And thus I put that formula in the book as well. Therefore, people are able to realize that life is pretty good for them if they save money early and they take advantage of the benefits that they have with their employers.
Absolutely. So, I don't know if you know this about me, but my father retired from the military 20 plus years. He also did another 20 plus years from civil service. So my father was getting two pensions. And let me tell you, it made a huge difference for us when he got dementia, because we got that money coming in, and it was able to offset the medical costs. Because one of the biggest things that both you and I know is, if you are coming up on retirement, you could still have a nice pot of money, but one of the things that could really devastate you is if you end up having some medical issue. And, we've talked about the importance of insurance. One of the types of insurances that you could have is you could have a long-term care policy. And my father had two opportunities to get a long-term care policy and didn't get it. And so we had to spend a fortune. Luckily, most of it came from the pensions that he had that would do that. But for a lot of people who don't have pensions, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to think about these things. And I have lived long enough, and perhaps you have too, Michael, to realize that life doesn't go along on this nice, steady, periodic, you're going to go from one advancement to the next advancement to the next advancement. That is a beautiful Disney world, but we don't live in the Disney world. I mean, the reality is stuff happens and you got to be prepared. And so things like having your retirement income, and I love the concept of having people calculate that, because I think that oftentimes people are living their day-to-day and they don't ever take the time to calculate that. And so they don't necessarily understand the value of a pension or a 401k or what they've done in the past. And I love the fact that you said, get started early, because I've been doing this long enough to know, Michael, that I tell people who are getting close to retirement that I never meet anybody who is in retirement who wishes they started later. Never, never, never. They always wish that they had started earlier and put more money in. And when they have that time to put money in, get that money matched, they wish that they had taken all the match money they could. Is that what you were finding in the people that you have been talking to?
Absolutely. The people that I've been talking to are looking at their life and they're like, what more could I have done, 10 years ago? They're also looking at what tools and options can they use now to help them get to the level they want to be at. What I'm finding, a lot of times people are having two issues that they're facing. Issue number one, they're investing in the 401k, but they have no idea what they're buying. Are they buying bonds? Or are they buying businesses? What are they buying? They don't know. And thus that can set you back 20 years from being able to retire if you're not investing in the right options. Number two, they only invest in their employer 401k or through a savings plan. They don't open up an individual retirement account that has so many tax benefits and other options. Those are the two issues that I have encountered with people that I like to coach people on.
Absolutely. That is so true. It's just like, you can't do it all through your employer plans. I wish, but I think you're right. I'm finding a lot of people do most of their investing through their employer plans, and they don't consider anything outside of that. And I find that oftentimes that's true because they feel like, I don't know what to do. Is that what you were finding, Michael?
Absolutely. And that's why in the book, I break it down. I put exactly what can happen if you invest in the S&P 500. I take a simple financial instrument and I show them how their money can grow year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, to take the fear out of it, to show them that here's where you are today, and here's where you will be in year 10, year 15, and year 20.
Absolutely. All right. So unfortunately, we're coming up on the end. So I'm just wondering, you learned about vision, you started to implement it into your life. You're talking about legacy. What's the legacy that you're leaving to your children, parent to parent? What are you telling your kids about this whole thing before they even get started? I don't think your kids are old enough to even be working. And so my kids are at the point where they could at least start their first little job. But I think your kids are a little bit younger than mine. What are you telling them?
I'm telling them, come sit down, look at the child savings account that I've opened up for you in each one of their names. So I have two older daughters, and then I have the son that me and my wife have together. And thus, I sit down and say, look, I'm about to put in $100 in your child savings account. Which one of these 20 stocks do you want? What they would do is they'll do the math. X stock costs $5, this stock costs 20. So they'll start doing the math to figure out how many shares they can buy of each stock. And then we'll push the buy button. And I do it with each child. 2 months later, I go back and I open up the app to show them. Let's look and see how much your money has increased. What I'm doing is I'm creating a habit. Like, it's just like waking up, brushing your teeth. It's a habit. I'm creating a habit that, when you have extra money, you're supposed to invest it. And that is normal. I'm creating them. At the same time, my kids will look at me and says, Daddy, well, why don't you buy a new pair of shoes? Why don't you buy this, or let's do that? And I tell them, no, we're not going to buy that. But you have money. Yes. And the reason why I have money is because I saved my money. In the book, I kind of highlight a story. Basically, it says that you have to be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
What makes one person happy is not what's going to make the next person happy. Thus, I teach them sound principles to live below your means. When we bought our car, we took them with us to the dealership and let them see me and my wife write a check for the car. When the title came to the house, we showed them the title to the vehicle. We're showing them the value of not having debt so that you can enjoy a nice, free life.
Absolutely. So I am sorry, but we're going to have to wrap this up. So let me just kind of ask my final few questions. The first question that I want to ask you is, money runs through all of our lives. So what's important about money to you, Michael?
I see money as a tool to allow us to meet our basic needs, which is food, shelter, clothing, and security and safety. If we're able to live in a safe environment, have food and shelter, heat and air conditioner, that's what the money is for. Everything else is extra. And thus, that's when you're able to enjoy quality time with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, because you can't buy that. There's so many people who are billionaires and yet they're still sad. They're sad, they're not happy with their life because money can't buy happiness. And thus, I tell them, money is just a way to take care of your basic needs to be able to have a comfortable, loving relationship with your family.
All right, perfect. Next question is, I talk a lot about financial freedom. A lot of the people that I work with would probably love to sit down and talk with you because you have lived all over the world. And that's something that they aspire to. And they want to perhaps live outside of the United States, maybe not. It depends on from person to person. But one of the things that they want to get to a point where they are financially free. But financial freedom means different things to different people. So what's your definition and how would you describe financial freedom for yourself?
I would say financial freedom is not having a ball of debt tied to your ankle where you wake up, you're trying to go out the door, you're struggling because you're being tied down because you're just focusing on what's behind you, which is all the debt, versus waking up and just saying, today, I like being alive. Today, I'm going to go to a restaurant because I can afford to. Today, I'm just going to go for a walk because I'm just going to enjoy Mother Nature. Being free to know that you have the money if you need it, but you're not relying upon it to make you happy.
Absolutely. And this is just a fun question I'm asking everybody is there a song that is the Michael anthem for where you are financially?
Of course it is. Everyone knows this, especially when I was doing my Facebook post when I was in South Africa, exercising, or in Zambia or the Democratic Republic of Congo. The song I like and what I like to listen to is by Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas, the great motivational speaker, is I Work Hard. I love that song. It pumps me up because I work hard. I worked hard to get to where I'm at. I put in a lot of work. I've overcome a lot. And I know others can too. I've seen people who didn't have a lot of confidence in their life, but after speaking with me and sharing my ventures and my stories and encouraging them, they also realized that, yeah, they were motivated to work hard as well to take life to the next level.
Got it. Perfect. So the final question that I want to ask you, if somebody wanted to get a copy of your book, where would they get a copy of your book? I know that it's Amazon is one of the places. Where else can I get your book?
So if they would like an autographed copy, they can go to madillard.com, madillard.com to purchase a signed paperback copy for me. In addition, soon the bookstores will have it on order as well. Thus, go to your local bookstore and request Accidental Success, Accidental Millionaire Retirement, in addition to Amazon.
Perfect. Now, what I know about authors is there's another book inside of them. Is there another book inside of you? Tell the truth.
Yes, I have a little small book that I've been kind of keeping a secret. And this is more geared towards the financial aspect that I love. I have a passion about, where I'm writing a fictional story about how people, live their day-to-day lives and how they manage their finances. And so I'm writing a book to kind of open up the behind the scenes things that people do to either make bad decisions in life or make great decisions in life. So look forward to the book coming soon.
All right, perfect. So I want to thank you, Michael. I appreciate you being here and sharing with you. And I just want to say to our listeners, I want to thank you for listening to the Her Money Story podcast. And I just want to, if you want to hear more episodes of the Her Money podcast, then go to my YouTube channel, click the subscribe button and ring the bell and choose all so that you can ensure that you're being notified whenever new content coming out. And if you're listening to this podcast on audio, then I just ask you to leave a honest review on Apple because the thing to remember about more reviews means more awareness of the Her Money podcast. And if you want to make sure that you master your money and go from feeling any kind of self-doubt about your money to safe, secure, and ultimately in control of your financial destiny, then I invite you to look for the link below and apply for a financial breakthrough session with me at chatwithfelicia.com. And we'll go over and talk about your finances. Again, thank you so much for being here with me, Michael.
Yes.
And I appreciate you very much for taking the time to share with our listeners your journey, your message, and your book. And if you want to get a hold of that, listeners, you can go to go in the notes section, and there will be a link to his Michael Dillard site so that you can get an autographed copy. And if you can't wait to get that autographed copy, you can always head on over to Amazon and to your local bookstore to get a copy of that book. Michael, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure to be on your podcast as you share generational wealth to the women out there.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.